So every year, OnePlus release two main versions of their flagship phones. In the spring, the numbered series, this year the OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro. Then in the autumn, the T series. This year, let's get the big news out of the way. Looks like there is no Pro version in the OnePlus 8T series. This has been covered recently in the press with a lot of news and a lot of headlines saying that these are leaks about the OnePlus 8T Pro not coming this year. Well, in fact, this isn't a surprise and it certainly isn't a leak. I covered the story maybe 6 months ago. In China, a OnePlus product executive literally posted this on his social media. Everyone could see it. I covered it in a video a long time ago. It's not a surprise, it's not news, and it certainly isn't a leak. At the time, the OnePlus product manager literally said no Pro version in the T series this year. That was it. So we knew way back in the spring almost that this wasn't happening, but I guess it is good to confirm it nearer the date that it's just not coming. No Pro version in the 8T series. At the time though, I did say, well, if there is no Pro version coming, then what else is coming from OnePlus? Are we going to get something different, something new, something even more premium? No Pro version, but maybe a foldable device or something else, maybe a tablet or a watch or anything else other than the Pro version. Well, it looks like we're actually getting something else, but not maybe what you'd think. It looks like that OnePlus, instead of continuing with their ultra high-end, ultra premium type of branding and their endless pursuit of building the perfect ultra high-end flagship phone, they're doing the complete opposite and going with what looks to be the cheapest budget entry-level phone they've ever made. These are the rumors about something called the OnePlus Clover, and we'll get onto this before we get onto all the juicy stuff about the OnePlus 8T. This has been rumored to be an entry-level phone around $200, which is a complete departure for OnePlus, but we've actually got some leaked Geekbench results that show us what the phone might come as. This was leaked online. It is a OnePlus with a code number BE2012 with a Snapdragon 460 chipset. If you haven't heard of that chipset before, you're definitely not alone. This phone may come with 4 GB of RAM. It got a single core score of 245 and a multi-core of 1174. That is certainly not breaking any records. So yeah, this as a move from OnePlus is totally weird. It is just nothing like what OnePlus have tried to become over recent years. High-end specs, lots of the best stuff. This is completely different in every way. This is definitely odd for the OnePlus brand, but I do understand it. High-end phones do not sell in any big numbers, and more people are turning away from high-end devices, which is exactly where OnePlus have been going. Their parent company, BBK or O+, whatever they want to call themselves, also need massive amounts of volume in the mid and budget range so that they can benefit from economies of scale selling all of their other phones at low margins. But anyway, enough about the business aspect of all of this. Let's get on to the juicy OnePlus 8T specs leaks. Again, we know everything about this device. From what we know, I think this is a good move from OnePlus. Basically an upgraded OnePlus 8, but with what seems to be a cheaper price than the Pro. As we've seen from Max J, it looks like the OnePlus 8T will be codenamed Kebab, and it will actually have a flat screen. We know this because there were some leaked images of a device found in some early software builds of OxygenOS 11. These were totally accidentally placed there, of course, definitely not on purpose, but it gives us our look of what the OnePlus 8T will look like. So a flat display, also rumored to be a 120Hz display. That's going to please a lot of people. A curved display adds as much as 3 times the cost onto the cost of the display as opposed to a flat display. So certainly this is an area which is very high cost. Using a flat display at 120Hz means you get all of the juicy specs, but hopefully OnePlus can keep that price a bit lower. The display will also come in at 6.55 inches, so more or less in the sweet spot as to where most Android phones seem to be. When it comes to the cameras, it looks like a change here as well from the OnePlus 8. The main camera being 48 megapixels, having an ultra wide of 16 megapixels, and then apparently getting a 5 megapixel macro and a 2 megapixel what they call portrait lens, which will be a depth sensor. It seems like once more, OnePlus really aren't focusing too much on the cameras here. It's a decent camera setup. The macro and the depth sensor, I always say nice to have, but not extremely useful. In the Android world, you can't be putting out a phone with just 2 lenses though. They need to compete with the amount of lenses, even if they're not massively useful all of the time. It hasn't been confirmed what exact sensor OnePlus are using in this device though. They have 2 options. They already use the IMX689 in the OnePlus 8 Pro. That's a new sensor. It's much bigger and it's a very good sensor. You get good natural colors and really amazing natural depth of field out of this sensor because of how big it is. It's used in the OnePlus 8 Pro and the Oppo Find X2 Pro. Another 48 megapixel sensor they use though is the IMX586, which is about 3 years old now. They use it as the ultra wide camera in the OnePlus 8 Pro. They even use it in the OnePlus Nord. So if it's that one, I think it's still a good sensor. There's no issues with it, but certainly it's 3 years old and I think they should be bumping this particular phone up to the 689. Something really amazing though that has just come out is the possibility of something just insane, which is 8K video recording at 960 frames a second slow-mo. XDA developers found code pointing to this in the new OxygenOS 11 beta software, and this is pretty much insane. I didn't even know that the Snapdragon 865 Plus could support this, but it seems like it does. This is just an outrageous spec that I guess none of us will really use, but 8K at 960 frames a second slow-mo, that is certainly insane, and that really is a top-end spec. And talking about OxygenOS, OnePlus have pretty much officially unveiled it. We have this promotional video that gives us a few teasers. Also, coincidentally, it looks like the phone in this video is pretty much going to be what the OnePlus 8T looks like. A flat display with a single hole punch camera, good design, really slim bezels. Just a solid design with the core juicy specs, the 120Hz display, the best processor, and a solid camera overall. We also get some new design features in OxygenOS 11, which you can see in the video. But the biggest news that we get out of this video is finally, an always on display in OxygenOS. We can see by the video it is coming. So OnePlus did say earlier this year they are working on it and they want to give it to us. Well, it is here at last. It looks really cool as well. Not any different to other always on displays you get from other brands, but yes, it is in OxygenOS finally. Not done with OnePlus news though. XDA have been digging around in the code and have found references to even more products. So you'll know that OnePlus released the OnePlus Buds this year, their first TWS earphones. But the new OnePlus Buds Z definitely aren't going to be the same product. They will be TWS earphones though, according to XDA. And considering that the OnePlus Nord maybe was thought to be called the OnePlus Z at one point, or maybe referred to that internally, we could therefore assume that the Buds Z may well be a cheaper or a entry-level version of the OnePlus Buds. Z, of course, may be used for something different. We have Bullets Wireless Z, which really weren't a downgrade on the Bullets Wireless. They were kind of an upgrade overall. So it really depends on what OnePlus want to do here. What we do know though is they are a different product to OnePlus Buds, will be coming. Super exciting to see some new TWS earphones from OnePlus, and I guess most people would be waiting for maybe some entry level or some budget options. XDA has also found reference to 2 different versions of the OnePlus 8T. Not any different phones, but maybe 2 different versions, one going to India and Canada, and then a different version going to the United States. OnePlus usually do release different versions in different countries. India getting a cheaper version of the same phone most of the time. USA, Europe, Northern America usually getting the same phone, just slightly more expensive. In terms of the makeup of the OnePlus 8T, yes, a Snapdragon 865 Plus, 8GB of RAM. Also a 12GB version is expected as well, 128 or 256GB of storage. Let me know all your thoughts about the OnePlus 8T, all the specs. Is it looking good for you? Do you want to go ahead and buy it? Let me know in the comments as always. That's it for this one though. Thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.